Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Rick Godley here with the Lincoln Parish Library, the Events Center. And we got a crowd for the upcoming, the inaugural, or initial, I should say, Lincoln Parish Police Jury. The meeting tonight will begin at 7 o'clock. 5 minutes from now, people still coming in. And let me pop up the agenda for you. You can see that. Call to order, invocation, approval, minutes, Public Works Committee report. They did that about 25 minutes ago. And then items 3, that's the Buc-ee's portion of Lincoln Parish. And then 4, the election of president, vice president, and administrator. And that's pretty much why everybody is here tonight, I would surmise. So, let's scan the room, shall we? Just to show you. We are talking standing room only. There's Mac Blake up there. I got his audio. That's going to be fed in. There's Mayor Ronnie Walker. There's Moose. There's Bill Jones. All right, so you can see crowd is among us. And check the camera. Looks like my audio is working. Again, Mac from American Audio. All those microphones up there. That's the current president and vice president that you're looking at. We're going to keep this thing live while, where are we at? 6:56.
Boom.
Got that working. Got the boom. What's this?
This is Rock and Roll Radio. Stay tuned for more rock and roll.
It's not rock and roll radio. Let's see what else we got so we can play. Oh, baseball.
Play ball!
Yeah. And we just got through this season.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
Keep the change, you filthy animal. I like this.
Boom.
Right. All right, what else do we got here for you in the terms of... Oh, yeah, this is... That's good. That's Jack Buck. I like this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Please drive carefully and arrive home safely. Good night.
What's the score, boys? What did Bugs Bunny do? What's with the Carrot League baseball today?
All right, 6:57. Still got 3 minutes to kill. As soon as the bell rings, we're off.
You once wrote, "There comes a time when all the cosmic tumblers have clicked into place and the universe opens itself up for a few seconds to show you what's possible."
All right, just playing around here. We got 6:58. 9, check it. 7 o'clock is when it starts. Oh, it's getting quiet in here.
Play ball!
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
As soon as I hear the bell.
Thanks for listening to...
Where is this? Oh, yeah.
It is amazing to watch a true artist at work.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going, Brain?
Back to the cage to plan for tomorrow night.
Why? What are we going to do tomorrow night?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Boy, it got real quiet in here.
No.
Okay.
I say pay attention. That's a joke, son.
All right. 6:59. I think we're going to be ready to rock and roll, as Brent Musburger would say, on CBS. Does this work? Why didn't that? Okay. Awfully quiet. Wow. Here we go. Hey.
Call the meeting to order, and Ms. Mayfield will lead us in a prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance.
This evening, Heavenly Father, first, we want to thank you for carrying us through 2022. Lord, in bringing us into 2023. We have had so many trials and tribulations in 22 that we just need to say thank you. God, look down upon our police jury, the United States, the city, and the state. Lord, bless us, keep us, and help us do the right thing.
Amen.
The right thing, each one of us, individual jurors tonight, to do the right thing for your will. This we ask you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, you have a copy of the agenda. Do I have a motion that we adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. You have the minutes of the prior meeting, December the 13th, 2022. Are there any corrections or additions?
Mr. President, if there are no corrections, I make the motion that we accept the minutes from December 13th, 2022.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Next item on the agenda is Economic Development Project, and I'm going to ask Mayor Ronnie Walker if he would come and kind of, yeah, he said do it after. Yep. Okay, all right.
Thank y'all so much. We come to you tonight with a request to approve the CEA so that we can bring a new business to our city. We've been working on this project for about 2 years, really hard since March of 2022. I have with me today Stan Beard with Buc-ee's. He's the head of real estate and development there. If y'all have any questions, we have our economic development attorney here tonight, Mike Rosada. He'll be glad to answer any questions that y'all might have. But this time I'll turn it over to let Stan say a few words.
Okay.
Hey there. Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for having me. I'm Stan Beard, Director of Real Estate for Buc-ee's. I'm here to say thank you for such a welcome. The last couple of days have been a real joy to be somewhere where you're wanted, and the mayor and the school district and the police jury have all done their part in bringing us to the state of Louisiana. Ruston is gonna be the first Buc-ee's in Louisiana, and we're proud of it. We like the community, and we just want to be a member, an employer, a partner, and a fun place to go for a while. So thanks for having me.
Just a couple of comments. First, I want to thank Stephen Williams, our sheriff. There's 4 bodies that are involved in this project. The sheriff's office, the Lincoln Parish Police Jury, hopefully tonight, the school board, which just passed at 12:00 a few minutes ago, and of course the city council, which passed it unanimously last night. Could not have happened without all 4 entities, and I thank you so very much, and I appreciate all the support from the city too. As someone said, sitting around this table, the internet broke Friday with all the social media about it, but we're glad we're at this point and hope that we can get it done.
Well, we appreciate the work you've done, and Stan, we're looking forward to having you here. I've been to Buc-ee's a number of times in Terrell, and it's quite an operation. I know we're looking forward to that. With this, at that time, I'll we have a CEO, you have a copy of it. I'll introduce a motion to adopt in a second, then we'll discuss it, if we can do that.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Okay, any discussion or questions from the jury, and then we'll take public comment.
I just need clarification on the sales tax for the parish. Will they be paying the sales tax? They can pay sales tax on the construction material, all right?
Mike, I'm gonna call you up. While he's coming up, let me just make one comment about sales tax. The sales tax that all of us, except the school board, they're doing property taxes because they can't do the sales tax, is only on the travel center itself. So all the other property around there, and there's a lot of property that they've acquired, is for any other company that comes in. Sales taxes will be, you're not giving up, and you're really not giving up anything because there's not anything out there now, but the sales taxes on all the others will be collected by the police jury. Mike?
Yeah, and just to echo that, no, there wouldn't be the sales tax. The sales tax on the construction material would be abated. However, as the mayor said, there's a lot of other development that's expected to go along with this, and you would be collecting all those taxes.
Any other questions or comments from the jury? Okay, I'll take any questions or comments from the audience, public, if anybody's got any comments before we vote. Seeing no comments, all in favor of this motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, Stan. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Okay, at this time, I will turn it over to Lewis Jones for election of officers, 2023.
Thank you, Mr. Durr. We're going to handle each of these individually. First, we will elect a president, then we'll elect a vice president, then we will discuss the administrator. We'll start in just a minute. I'm going to open the floor for nominations for president. You don't have to raise your hand and be recognized. Just say who you want to nominate. If more than one person is nominated, we will vote on the people individually. But if the first one gets a majority of the votes cast, that'll be the only vote. But we will not vote if there's more than one nomination. We won't just have one vote and you pick A or B. We'll vote on the people individually. So, are there any nominations for the office of president?
I'd like to nominate Richard Dewitt for president.
All right. And we don't need a second for nominations.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Glenn Scriver for president.
Any other nominations?
I would nominate Richard Dewitt as
Okay.
president.
He's already been nominated, but yeah, that's good. Anybody else?
I'd like to make a motion that we close the nomination.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and second to close the nominations. Does anybody have any discussion about strictly closing the nominations? All right, all in favor of closing the nominations, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, before we vote, I'm going to allow the public to comment, and this is just on the vote that we're fixing to have on president. Is there any member of the public that wants to comment? Yes, sir. And just like any public comment, this will be limited to 3 minutes, please.
It's my understanding that this full jury, did not know about the $120,000 offer from the city back in May. That information was withheld from all of you. That $120,000 was refused by someone on this jury. That nullified the offer. A counteroffer from the city was put forth, and the amount was more than $120,000, at which time you rejected the city's offer and began to search alternatives. The definition of malfeasance: intentionally doing something either legally or morally wrong, which no one has the right to do. It always involves dishonesty, illegality, or knowingly exceeding authority for improper reason. Malfeasance is distinguished from misfeasance, which is committing a wrong by error or mistakes, negligence, or inadvertence, but not by intentionally doing wrong. Once all of you found out about this, some of you apologized to the public and wanted to go on record changing your position, which is a noble gesture. Those of you who did nothing with this information are now complicit with the one who committed malfeasance, last of all failing in your position as stewards of your constituents of this parish. Do you know confession is soothing and healthy for your soul and a balm for mending relationships? The 6 hardest words to say: I admit I made a mistake. That's confession. The following 4 words are cleansing. Would you forgive me? Failure to walk in the light as he is in the light, thus we have fellowship one with another. We had to go through this ambulance committee meeting debacle. And in the midst of these meetings, there arose a nefarious narrative from anonymous jurors convening a covert meeting to threaten and accuse the administrator of alleged charges of certain improprieties about something ambiguous that was serious enough to call for his resignation. It reminded me of the XYZ affair that occurred under John Adams' administration. After finding out about this bullying meeting, 4 jurors went public in the name and signature of support for the administrator, thus walking in the light, while the covert crew said, no comment.
Sir, your 3 minutes are up. Would you quickly conclude, please?
Do you know that confession is soothing and healthy for your soul and a balm for mending relationships? The 6 hardest words to say: I admit I made a mistake. That's confession. The following 4 words are for cleansing. Would you forgive me? I looked up the word racketeering. The extortion of money or advantage by threat or force.
Sir, your time is up. I'm sorry.
Time is up.
I'm sorry. That concludes your comments. Thank you. And I will say, for the benefit of everybody, I don't make the rules. The policy is public comments limited to 3 minutes per person. I'm strictly following the rules that have been established by this board. Any other public comments as it relates to the election for president? Moose? And I'm sorry, I didn't have the first gentleman do it. Would you state your name before you start commenting?
Yes, sir.
In case anybody doesn't know you.
Chris Garriga. I do have a real name in case everybody didn't know. I think Rick hit a lot of the points right on the hammer. I think what we have is we had a lot of issues over the last 18 months stemming from, I believe, from the ambulance and the fire issue. Not that I'm not going to name who I think we should probably put in there, but I think it's time for a middle-of-the-road kind of person. I think it's time for somebody that can hear both sides and make a decision. Based on that, I think we had a person that made a decision and, like Rick said, recanted his vote, apologized for not having all the information that we needed to make a vote, and came out about that. I think that speaks volume in today's world, to admit you made a mistake, you learned from your mistake, and you moved on. That's what I tell my employees every day, is that I don't care if you make a mistake every day, we're going to make mistakes every day. That's just how we were built, is to learn from your mistakes and move forward. I would just ask that the entire jury, think about where we sit today. As the last 18 months, how many people were in these packed meetings? We talked for over 18 months about an ambulance to take care of 20-something thousand residents of the parish. It shouldn't have taken that long. It shouldn't have been that long. I think with the right leadership and the right people in the right places, this should have been done in 30 days, or like was just said, we had an offer that was $500,000 cheaper than where we are. And I think, Ms. Teresa, you went on and on about the being about money last time, about how we don't have money. Well, we had a $500,000 offer that was cheaper, and we still have not really talked about that. And I even said in one of my comments in a meeting, like, why aren't we talking about that a little bit more? So I would just ask that you put your personal vendettas, your personal agendas aside, and do what's right for our community. And as you can see, our community is here once again because they probably don't like what's going on today or what's been going on. So, I mean, we can keep having meetings like this and people can vote. You can say the lights are on in here, and some of y'all are going to say, nope, they're off. They're off in here, and you're going to stick by that no matter what happens. So I would just hope that y'all can make some good decisions for our community and not for your personal agendas. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Last chance. All right. Before you vote, let me just say one thing to clarify. There obviously are 12 of you. The first vote will be for Mr. Durrett for president. If the vote is, and I have no idea what it will be, if it's 6-6, that is not, Mr. Durrett is not elected president, and then we would vote for Mr. Scriber. If somebody abstains, I want to make sure y'all clear. We've got a quorum present. In fact, everybody's present. If one person abstained, if the vote was 6 one way, 5 one way, and 1 abstention, the 6 votes wins, because the abstention is not counted as a vote. All right, that's not a tie. 6-5-1 is not a tie. 6 is enough. It's a majority of the votes that were cast. All right. So, any questions before we start voting? All right. The first vote will be for Richard Durrett as president. So, a yay or yes vote would be for Mr. Durrett. A nay or no would be voting not for Mr. Durrett to be president, and not ask for a roll call vote.
Ms. Wyatt?
Yes.
Ms. Hunter?
Yes.
Mr. Durrett?
Yes.
Mr. Cranford?
No.
Mr. Hunt?
No.
Mr. Scriber?
No.
Mr. Pullen?
No.
Mr. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Henderson?
Yes.
Mr. Melton?
Yes.
Ms. Mayfield?
Yes.
Ms. Strawder?
No.
Count
Vote is
7 to 5, yes. Is that right?
Correct. 7 to 5.
All right, Mr. Durrett is elected president. Next, we will go to the office of vice president. We'll handle it the same way. At this time, I would open the floor for nominations for vice president.
I nominate Milton Melton.
All right, Milton Melton, I don't need a second. Any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Glenn Scriber.
All right. Mr. Scriber, any other nominations? Anybody? All right, hearing none, I'll close the nominations. At this time, again, I will allow the public to comment. This is strictly limited to the vote that we're about to have for the office of vice president. Yes, sir. And Mr. Godey, I should have asked you the first time, but would you state your name, please, before you start?
My name is Rick Godey.
Thank you.
To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. May I speak to those of you who are at least 60 years old. Please know, this is not our time anymore. It's their future. Let's give it to them and be a forerunner and not a hindrance. This is 2023 and big hog mentality don't apply here. Lincoln Parish deserves better than this. Finally, know this. If you would confess, I trust everyone in this room that we be faithful and just to forgive.
Thank you, Mr. Godey. Anybody else? Any other public comment? All right, we'll handle the vote the same way. First vote will be for Milton Melton. Obviously, yes or yay will be a vote for Mr. Melton for Vice President. No would be for him to not be elected Vice President. So again, I'll call for a roll call vote. This is for Milton Melton.
Miss Wyatt?
Yes.
Miss Hunter?
Yes.
Mr. Durrett?
Yes.
Mr. Cranford?
No.
Mr. Hunt?
No.
Mr. Scriber?
No.
Mr. Pullen?
No.
Mr. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Henderson?
Yes.
Mr. Melton?
Yes.
Miss Mayfield?
Yes.
Miss Straughter?
Yes.
8-4. 8
All right.
yeas, 4 noes.
All right, Mr. Melton got enough votes to be elected, so there will be no further need to vote for Mr. Scriber. Mr. Melton is the Vice President. Next item on the agenda is to take action regarding the Office of Administrator. At your January 2022 meeting, you voted to extend Mr. Postel's contract for a one-year period. That meeting was January 11th, so that 1 year expires today. So it's now time for you to take action as to what to do regarding the Office of Administrator. This time I'll entertain a motion to do whatever you want to do.
I'd like to make a motion that we extend Mr. Postel's contract for another year.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to extend Mr. Postel's contract for 1 year. Before we get to discussion among the jurors, I'll allow public comment on this item. Just come forward, please, one at a time. Again, you're limited to 3 minutes. If you don't mind, if you'll state your name before you start speaking.
I'm Amy Miller. Most of you I think I've met and I know. I'm a resident in Lincoln Parish in Mr. Scriber's district, and I'm also the president of the library board. I just wanted to speak to say I've gotten to work with Mr. Postel since I started on the library board in December of 2020, and he has been extremely helpful with the library. He has been very professional in every way that I have worked with him. He has specifically helped the library with, we had a air conditioning AC grant that he helped us get the funds for and get that replaced, which was a huge savings for the library and the taxpayers, honestly. And he also helped us get electricians to assist with our parking lot lighting. And he's generally just been very inclusive with getting us involved, talking with the jury and getting the library involved and getting us all on the same page. And that kind of unity, I think, has been very beneficial to this parish and the library. So I just wanted to speak for him and to say that I've really enjoyed working with him, and I hope to continue to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Lois Garrett Miller, and I'm in Mr. Pullen's district. And I want to thank y'all for letting me talk, and thank you, Mr. Durrett and Mr. Frederick Hogan, for hiring me at Lincoln Parish Park in 1990. And I'm still there, Mr. Durrett, still there. All right, I'm here to speak in behalf of Mr. Doug Postel. I've known him and believed in Doug since he was a student teacher at Ruston High School. He has demonstrated determination throughout his career from educator to his present position. He has made Lincoln Parish better and is looking forward to it ever-growing brighter future. He's not living in the past, but changing for improvement in Lincoln Parish. When this administrative job opened up, I encouraged him to apply. He's smart, knowledgeable, young, creative, has workable plans for the citizens of Lincoln Parish. Keep Doug Postel as Lincoln Parish Police Jury Administrator. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Miller.
I'm Robert W. Flanoy, 1609 East Georgia, and it scared me a while ago when the mayor got up and said there's 4 bodies. I was thinking about bodies, you know, and I wondered if somebody had uncovered the 1902 hide and go seek team from Tech. I'm here to talk about Doug Postel on his behalf. I've known him for about 20 years. I've known him to be an ethical person, good character, good personality, likable person, and he's positive. And I believe that we need more positivity in this room right here. We need more positive things going on. We don't need the negative, the yah-yahs going on and so forth. We see what he does and what he's done. He's been principals, he's been actors, he's had several capacities. And I like being around him and visiting with him, and he seems to be somebody that wants to really improve things. Our mayor, before he ran for his second term, sent out a memo about what he had accomplished in his 4 years. Before me, I have a document here, and they're at the back of the room, and I'd appreciate if somebody would hand them out to see what this young man has done. A full page of accomplishments, a page and a half. And I would very say that not many of us can achieve those goals. So he's proven to me, I see, look, he's changed, he's put in new titles for jobs and new job descriptions and things like that. He spoke to our Rotary Club and talked about what changes he made. But I asked him, I said, look, let's show people what you've done. And here it is. If you don't have one, you can get one at the back. There's a stack of them, of his accomplishments. I'm not going to read through all of them, but I mean, it's obvious he hadn't been sitting around doing nothing. And I heard a person talk about him, the fact that he's sometimes with the assistant, they're riding around together, and how that maybe is not a good thing. I don't think it's a problem for both of them to be riding around the same car, because sometimes he can explain things to his assistant of what needs to be done. So I think we've had enough negative, too much negative. We need to talk about the positive. I thank you for this time.
Thank you, sir.
My name's Jimmy Sledge. My name's Jimmy Sledge, and I'm here to voice my support and my family's support for Doug Postel. Doug loves Ruston and Lincoln Parish. We've primarily gotten to know Doug and his family over the years through our church, The Bridge. At the present time, Doug and I both serve on the frontline team, and it's a joy to work with him in this area. We've also gotten to know Doug through Ruston Community Theater. My wife was in Oklahoma and Sound of Music with Doug, who always does an incredible job with his roles. We have some friends in Ruston who adopted a family motto in recent years. It says, next right thing. They use the phrase to encourage each other when they don't know what to do, or if the next life decision is too daunting or unclear. My encouragement to you tonight is to do the next right thing and reappoint Doug Postel as administrator. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bill Jones. A few months ago, some members of this jury attempted to get Mr. Postel to resign, using threats of exposing alleged misconduct as an incentive to get him to resign. Last October, these threats came to light, and at the October jury meeting, every juror was asked by the public present at that meeting to detail any problems they had with Mr. Postel's job performance. Nobody could think of any then. In fact, the threats made against him were proven to be so unsound that the juror who conveyed those threats to him later apologized. Now, only 3 months later, we're back here because it's time to renew his contract. And apparently some jurors do not want to renew his contract. What's happened in the last 3 months that would justify not renewing his contract? The public's heard nothing, and I don't believe anything has happened to justify not renewing the contract. Now, the Personnel Committee has the responsibility of supervising Mr. Postel. It's supposed to evaluate his performance. Has the Personnel Committee conducted such an evaluation since last October? I don't think so. Has the Personnel Committee recommended against renewing Mr. Postel's contract? I don't think so. This jury wouldn't terminate the lowest paid employee on its payroll for poor job performance without first discussing those problems with him, and second, giving him an opportunity to correct those deficiencies. That hadn't been done with Doug. This police jury is not a private business. You're not conducting your own business. You're conducting our business. And we have the right and you have the duty to do it correctly and fairly. Now, not renewing Doug's contract is contrary to all ordinary business principles and well-known employment policies. Not renewing his contract would seriously weaken the public's confidence in this jury and its decision-making process. That's not good. That would not be good. And it's a time to speak frankly. Given the way some members of the jury acted toward Mr. Postel earlier last year, I would think that those members should be the ones to make the motion to renew his contract, and those members ought to urge all the rest of the jury to support such a motion. That would only be fair, and that would be the right way to make amends for that misbegotten effort back last October.
Mr. Jones, your time's up. Would you wrap it up, please?
Yes, sir, I will, Mr. Jones. Renewing his contract, he's my neighbor.
Literally next door.
Yeah, that's right. Renewing Doug's contract would build the public's confidence in the jury rather than weaken it. I think it's clear what should be done with this motion. Renew his contract.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Yes, Tom Barnside. I work at the Highway Department. Had the pleasure of working with Mr. Postel last year, so it's been great. There's not a more honest, more fair man that I've ever worked for. Before everybody makes their decision tonight, whether to renew his contract or not, what will speak a lot about him, if all the parish employees please stand that showed up for the job. There's our support right there. Thank you.
How's everybody this evening? I want to first say that I appreciate the weight that each of you carry as representatives of this parish and your individual communities. That is nothing to scoff at. You have a lot hanging over your heads every single day that you hold this position. I also want to say that I appreciate you putting time on this agenda for all of us to speak before these measures are taken. I have had the privilege in the last 15 years serving as a public servant in 4 different parishes for 4 different library systems, and I can say to 100% certainty that I have never dealt with a parish administrator who has shown more support to the departments under their jury than Mr. Postel. I have only gotten to work with him for a short amount of time, but I can say this in full confidence. He's a good leader. He's a good representation of what our parish needs, and he's a good person, point blank. And when I say he shows support to his departments, I don't mean we get the occasional phone call and he just shows up once or twice for a meeting in a year. He is in the building, in the department, all the time. He answers the phone when you call. And I have called at some weird times and made some weird requests on behalf of the library, and he has answered every single time, shown up without doubt. He shows support, not just verbally, but he shows it in the physical aspect every day when he comes to work. He is a supporter of this parish and of these communities and of the people you just saw standing up. I don't know anyone else who's held a leadership role who can pull a crowd like that. So I'm urging you to hear your public, hear your employees, and feel that weight tonight. Because I promise you, not renewing this contract, you're going to feel the echo afterwards.
Thank you.
I'm James Skinner, and I too am, like everybody else, am here to show support for Doug Postel. Ms. Mayfield, you prayed, and I appreciate your prayer, and I also want to extend condolences for I believe you lost some. I'm sorry for that. But, you prayed that we would do the right thing. And the right thing is to represent your constituents and to vote in a way that they would be proud of. Now, Skip, you're my guy.
Absolutely.
I've talked to you. I've talked to people in your district, and your district wants you to vote to renew his contract.
Thank you.
I think everybody here wants you to vote to renew his contract. So the right thing to do is to represent your constituents, not as Malcolm Butler so eloquently wrote in the Lincoln Parish Journal, that putting politics, petty politics against performance. Every parish worker can tell him what a great job he's done in his performance. So base this on performance, not petty politics. And this is your opportunity to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lynn Nemi. I have lived in Ruston. I've worked in Ruston. I have volunteered in Ruston for 35 years. I've worked with a lot of you on committees. I've worked with Doug Postel on several different committees, and I love Ruston. I'm thanking all of you for the work you do for us, but now I'm speaking to the ones of you who came tonight thinking not to vote Doug back in. Because you see in this room, I think, how much he's done for our community, our wonderful community. I have worked for the last 8 years with Lincoln Lights Up the Pines, and Doug has been at every meeting to help us bring that from, I think, 6,000 maybe the first year to 21,000, 22,000 this year. All that money goes to the park, and they use most of that for improving the campsites. If you haven't driven through there, it's really amazing. So I'm asking those of you who may have come to vote not to renew Doug as administrator, to please consider what's best for this community. He is a fine young man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Chris Garriga, again. I would like everybody in the room to stand or raise your hand if you're for Doug Pastel having his contract renewed. I see the Lincoln Parish Sheriff. I see Chief Tommy Clark. I see all kinds of presidents of companies, owners of companies, citizens. This is pretty strong right here, statement to our police jury. I know some of you probably don't even care. That's pretty hard to vote no against that right there. I know some of you will. As some of you have said, this is Mr. Patel's second time that you've tried to oust him out of his position, but it's actually the third. Doug, correct me if I'm wrong. About a year ago, we were sitting in the same room. Is that correct? We tried to go into private session. Mr. Pastel would not let it go into private session because he wanted it public. Some of you tried to say his job performance was not going well and he wasn't doing his job, but didn't fill out his job performance sheets. Publicly admitted to not filling out job performance sheets, but wanted him removed and not renew his contract. Where are we at as a jury on doing your job as jurors? A lot of you have seats coming up this year, and I encourage people in this room, if you don't like what's going on in this room tonight, to get somebody to run or to run yourself. Skip, you are my juror, and me and you have talked many times. I know your phone has been blowing up on how to handle some situations tonight. I just encourage y'all, like Ms. Mayfield said, to do the right thing. And this is not the second, but the third time in less than a year this jury has tried to take out this administrator. And enough's enough. Now it might be time for us to take out some jury seats.
Thank you both.
Good evening. I'm Joe Anderson, Vice President and Manager of Natal and Gus and Ruston. We're the second largest gas producer in the parish. We are also one of the highest taxpayers of the parish. I am unique to in this industry, and as a decision maker for the company, I call Lincoln Parish home, not Houston or Dallas. I've raised my family here for the last 28 years. What I can say from working in most North Louisiana parishes, there is no comparison to Lincoln Parish. From quality roads and infrastructure, we are truly blessed. Having a police jury and police administrator that truly care about both the residents and business makes it a pleasure to call Lincoln Parish the center of our operations. I've been in my job with the same company for the last 34 years. I face the same type of job challenges that Doug Pastel deals with on a daily basis. Maintaining our lease roads and wells, landowner issues, weather issues are just a few items that makes our jobs very similar. What I have is an owner that supports my decisions, knowing that I always am trying to be honest and trying to be the best make the best decisions possible. Promptly addressing an issue is what I do, and in every dealing I've had with Doug Pastel, he does the same. Working with residents and businesses is truly a gift that Doug possesses that is so admired and makes the Lincoln Parish such a great place to live and to conduct business. We do not have the government against business mindset in Lincoln Parish that is so prevalent in other areas we operate in. The last year has been a trying year to operate with the rampant inflation affecting everything in our business. Higher natural gas prices in the middle part of the year are now offset with prices lower than we saw a year ago. The cost of doing business continues to increase, making budgeting and forecasting a challenge. Given the inflationary period we are in now, working and constructing any type of project faces budget overruns every month. I've seen price increases in just 30-day period that cannot be avoided once a project starts. Lack of truck drivers delivering a product in a timely fashion is just an example. The volatility of natural gas prices in the last year affects not only our company, but the parish also, with natural gas production being an important revenue stream. I'm sure Doug has faced the same budget issues head on and is doing everything he can to try and balance work product and the cost of doing business. Doug Postel has done a great job giving the people of Lincoln Parish the best parish in the state to both live in and do business in. Such a unique combination is what makes me want to continue to call Lincoln Parish home. I cannot see why we'd want to replace Doug in these volatile economic times. Business thrives on continuity, and knowing that you have someone like Doug Postel to work with is such an asset for the parish. Yes, there are issues to address, and that is part of life and business that everyone faces daily. Working together can solve most of these problems.
Sir, your time's up. Could you try to wrap it up?
With new business continually coming to Lincoln Parish, having an administrator like Doug is such an asset for continued growth of the parish. I recommend the jury vote to continue Doug Postel as the parish administrator.
Thank you.
I came out of my hiding spot.
Would you state your name? I know everybody up here knows you, but just in case somebody out there does not.
I'm getting there.
All right.
My name is Devin Cannon. I'm the administrative coordinator for the Police Jury Administration Office. I've been with the police jury for 15 years, and in those 15 years, I've only addressed this jury in this manner once before. Beyond being employed by the police jury, I'm a constituent of District 8. Doug was hired in the midst of a global pandemic, dealt with a natural disaster, an unruly employee and the aftermath, and then had the ambulance issue to figure out all within 2.5 years. This rundown doesn't include daily tasks, departmental issues, juror requests, constituent requests, and projects that he has lined up for us. Since Doug was hired, he has advocated for his employees and helped create an environment in which we all prosper. Doug is one of the first to compliment an employee on a job well done. He visits each department on a fairly regular basis and knows the majority of his employees by name. He is well liked and spoken highly of throughout the departments. Doug has created a culture of highly engaged employees who hold themselves and each other accountable to achieve the goals that we have set for ourselves, our office, and our organization. Doug is invested in this parish. He does and acts in ways he believes will benefit the parish and works to create a foundation for greater success in the future. He has a list of projects in his office that we break down every month and have successfully completed quite a bit over the last year. 2 of my projects, for instance, will be brought to y'all next month. Doug is progressive, and yes, progress tends to mean change. I'll be the first to admit that I do not easily accept change. It's honestly why I've thrived at the police jury, where our motto is, that's how we've always done it. However, over the past 2 years, I've learned that change is good, and I've become more receptive to it. Doug is also bridging a gap between other entities and municipalities. One of Doug's recent ventures has been quarterly mayor meetings. We have only hosted one at this point, but the idea behind that was to get the mayors talking about their needs and concerns, not just with the parish, but with each other. Unification, multiple voices acting as one to create a better parish. No business is conducted during these meetings. It's coffee shop talk in the middle of the day. When Doug was evaluated in December of 2020, I was approached by the then president who asked if I would speak on Doug's behalf. At that time, I told you all that our office was running as well as it was when Dr. Gray was there. That may have been a slight exaggeration, but it holds true now, especially with the addition of Michael to our team. Doug is not Courtney. We will never have another Courtney, and that's not a bad thing. It's a different thing, and learning the nuances of a new person is difficult and takes time. Please understand our office misses Courtney. We are grateful for his leadership. However, Doug has allowed us to use our own unique abilities for the good of the parish and in such a way that we thrive as employees. We strive to be our best, do our best, but we are all human and no one is perfect. Doug is absolutely what my parish needs right now, and I am asking you to appoint him as administrator for 1 more year. Our organization, our parish, cannot thrive in chaos. This is not a work environment that stimulates the well-being of our employees or our parish. It is a hindrance that trickles down through all of our departments. My hope is that the 12 of you can come together tonight to make some common ground decision and allow us to complete the work that we have begun under Doug's leadership. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Richard Bakes. I come here tonight to support Doug Postel. Faith without works is dead. We can all pray about a subject, but Doug Postel put the work. Do the work. I have had opportunity to work with Doug Postel for over 12 years with the community college. Dealing with the pandemic, when Doug Postel first started working with the program, he called me with Northwest Community College trying to find programs to get his staff to have skill upgrades. If they did not have a CDL, he was trying to get them as truck driving classes during the pandemic to make sure the program and the job get done. One thing I would like to say to you all, please support Doug Postel tonight. And he's a true leader in this community. And please support him. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Bill Sanderson. I am mayor of Shudron. And there's not a lot that I can add to what has already been stated. The one voice I think to me that touched me the most was the unity in the employees as they stood behind Doug and his leadership. That speaks louder than any of our opinions. I've got 4 pages of bullet notes in support of what Mr. Postel has done. Over the last few years, I've got to be friends with Mr. Lewis Jones, and I refuse to allow him to tell me to shut up when my 3 minutes are up. So I'm going to make it very, very short. Again, the employees' support means everything. I want to thank all of you for the job that you're doing. It's tough. There are a lot of hard decisions that are made and that need to be made in this particular case. I want to address each one of you, to Mr. Russell, Mr. Henderson, Ms. Mayfield, Ms. Slaughter. I humbly ask for your support in renewing Mr. Postel's contract. I've had the opportunity to work with him through a teacher in Shudron High School. He didn't always agree with my son in his actions, but he dealt with him fairly. In working with him as principal through the village of Shudron, he's done an excellent job. He's been absolutely wonderful to work with. Mr. Jarrett, Mr. Melton, we've enjoyed some good times through the ambulance deal. We haven't always been on the same side of the table, but I humbly address both of you and ask for your support in renewing Mr. Postel's contract. We all may or may not agree on things. We're always going to be either on the same side or opposite sides of the table. But I ask for your support in continuing the job that he's done. To Ms. White, Ms. Hunter, Mr. Cranford, thank you. You've all been placed in positions that you've had hard decisions to make. You may or may not agree with my opinion of Mr. Postel. I do address each one of you individually, and I ask for your support in renewing that contract. Finally, to Mr. Pullitt, Mr. Scriber, Mr. Hunt, I want to thank all of you. Doug and I have had the opportunity of working together not only in his job as high school teacher and principal, but especially over the last few years in his position here with the police jury. From our aspect of working with the police jury, the job he has done is excellent. Lincoln Parish has an excellent history of working with its communities through Mr. Sutton and through Mr. Jarrett and through Courtney and through history. Doug has been exemplary in continuing that. I ask and beg of you for you to support Mr. Postel in this contract renewal. Thank each one of you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Any other public comment? Anybody? All right, this time we'll have comments or discussion among the jurors before we vote?
I got something to say. Last week, I got to looking and thinking about renewing Mr. Postel's contract, which I support. I'm behind. At the time, I was thinking maybe he's pulled the wool over my eyes. Maybe I'm not seeing who the real person he is. So I tried to reach out and contact everybody that he works with directly, from his position to their position. I contacted 2 of the 3 parish judges, the clerk of court's office, all department heads in the parish, everybody at the administrative office, 6 of the 7 mayors of Lincoln Parish, including Mr. Jones from Grambling. I didn't talk to the new mayor because he was sworn in the day before. I talked to Mr. Jones, the ex-mayor of Grambling, the tax assessor, parish architects, Crossmark from payroll company, parish engineers, the sheriff's office. Every one of these people confirmed what I had already decided, that I was supporting Mr. Postel. Out of all the people I talked to, and I talked to many personnel, constituents, people around the parish, not one person asked for me not to renew Mr. Postel's contract. Every single one of them asked me to extend it. I hope y'all do it. He does a great job. Communication's wonderful. He does what we need. And to my knowledge, so far, nothing has been brought to anybody at the jury, any of the committees, brought to the table for a reason for us not to support Mr. Postel. So at this time, I would have to say that I'm supporting Mr. Postel in renewing his contract.
Any other comments or discussion?
We've had a lot of comments on the support of Mr. Postel, and I would just ask if anybody had any reasons not to support Mr. Postel. I'd love to hear them.
From the public, you mean?
From anybody in the room.
Any other comments or discussion?
I'd like to make just a comment.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations, Mr. Durrett, Mr. Milton, on election of the new officers. Yes, I was interested in being president of the police jury, or I wouldn't have allowed my name to be nominated. But it took a back seat the past couple of weeks. Basically, what I told everyone that I've talked to was that's not of keen interest to me anymore. My interest came from hearing that, some people wanted to not renew Mr. Postel's contract again. The word got out again, somebody out there talking to somebody, and of course it circulates back around to us. And I didn't go as far as Mr. Cranford on contacting as many as he contacted, but trust me, I have talked to a lot of people, many of the same ones that Mr. Cranford has talked to, and a lot of employees. And I was like him. What am I missing? What have I missed here? There's got to be something. But it's not. There is nothing to miss. I mean, no one has come out and said we just had an opportunity then for someone to say, well, let me tell you why I feel the way I do and why I'm against Mr. Postel. They might before we get through talking here, but they haven't said anything yet. Jurors, listen, I like all of y'all. I hadn't got any animosity towards any jurors here. I think y'all know me well enough now to know that. Y'all know that. Most of you have been knowing me for a long time. And we always pray for wisdom. I've said this before. Are we going to heed that when we ask for God for wisdom? Are we going to ignore that?
Goodness gracious.
I've grieved over this. I really have. Lincoln Parish is the best parish. I think it's the best parish in the state. I live here. I've raised my family here. I've worked here. Had a business here. And what has been happening is just disgraceful. I don't know how else to say it. And I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. I'm saying what I certainly think. And we've got to get this thing corrected here. And yes, I've known Doug a long time. And I unashamedly say that we've had some experiences together, mostly church-related, never anything that's been, hadn't ended on a positive note on anything. So, Lincoln Parish, the public has spoken. You've heard it. And this is just a cross example of what the rest of the community feels. We're looking at it right here. So, but a man's livelihood is at stake here. He's a year and a half away from being able to retire. A year and a half. And to snatch that away, I just pray that it doesn't happen. Thank you.
Any other comments or discussion?
Counselor,
Yes.
can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
What are the rules and guidance on executive session?
You are allowed to go into executive session if you're discussing personnel issues or someone's professional competence, but you have to give that person notice 24 hours before the meeting.
Okay. And can they waive that?
There's no provision in the law that I'm aware of that would allow them to waive it.
Okay.
Any other comments or discussion? All right, if not, we will vote. There's a motion on the floor and second to extend Mr. Postel's contract for 1 year. I would ask that we take a roll call vote.
Wyatt,
No.
Hunter,
No.
Durrett,
No.
Cranford,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Scriber,
Yes.
Pullen,
Yes.
Russell,
I abstain.
Henderson.
May I reconsider that?
Sure.
No.
Henderson,
No.
Melton,
No.
Mayfield,
No.
Strotter.
No.
Where's our police?
4-8.
All right. So, at this point, we do.
Mr. President?
At this point, we do not have an administrator. Do y'all want to take action at this point?
I would. Can I speak?
Where the,
You got.
this meeting is going to continue. Deputies, would you help us get order in this meeting, please?
They wouldn't let you.
All right. We do not have an administrator. Do y'all want to take any action at this point?
Make a motion that we, Kevin, the assistant administrator, serve until we have a plan in place.
I didn't hear what you said. Would
He
you
wants
say it
Kevin to
louder,
do the
Mr. Jarrett?
job.
Everybody didn't hear that.
I can't hear.
You want me to state it again?
Yes, sir. Just say it
Okay, I
louder.
make a motion that we appoint the assistant administrator, Kevin, to act as the interim administrator until we develop a plan to replace administrator.
I second the motion.
All right. So there is a motion second that
Kevin be appointed to serve as interim administrator until the position is filled. Again, we will take public comments. Would you come up to the microphone, please?
Lynn, Nimi, I find it hard to believe that we've had people speak about Mr. Postel, but those of you who voted no, nobody has the courage to tell this group. Nobody has the courage. Nobody has the courage to tell us why you voted no. There has not been one statement from all of you to support a no vote, and I am appalled.
We comment on this motion?
This motion. James Skinner. I work with a lot of young people, and young people get a lot of bad rap. They're disrespectful. They don't listen. They don't trust authority. They don't trust politicians. We just seen the reason why. Somebody said that it was Einstein said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Bill Jones, a couple of months ago, referenced Mr. Hunt's letter and said if anybody has any comments to make, to share their comments. And everybody shared how they were going to vote. Everybody, except y'all two.
Mr. Skinner, let me stop you.
Let me just say this. We revoted.
Let me talk. This is the time to comment on the motion to appoint Kevin as interim administrator.
Okay.
There will be a time for general public comments later. We've already covered the comments as to the vote for Mr. Postel.
I got you.
Any other public comments? Any others? All right, we have a motion and second to appoint Kevin as interim administrator until the jury decides what to do to fill that position on a more permanent basis. Again, I would ask for a roll call vote.
Lewis, I have a question first.
Yes, sir.
Is this appointment mean that I can be unappointed and then lose my job? Or am I acting as administrator and I can then return to assistant administrator? Because I do not want to be the administrator and then get unappointed 2 months later.
I understand. And let me ask, because I don't know, do you have a written employment contract as assistant administrator?
I'm the assistant administrator that reports to the administrator.
I understand. But do you have a written contract, or were you appointed to that position for a specific term?
No.
Okay. Then I guess to directly answer your question, yes, they could hire an administrator 2 months from now and decide to get rid of you. The new administrator could, or the jury could get rid of you at any time anyway.
I think if I may, I think his question is when we hire a new administrator, will he be out the door or will he move back to assistant administrator?
Correct.
That I believe was the question.
That would be up to y'all. I would think you would revert back to your assistant administrator position, but that would be ultimately up to the jury.
Lord.
I prefer to be in the motion that I would revert back to administrator before I accept this position.
Right. That is not the motion that's on the floor. If somebody wants to amend the motion.
Can Kevin deny being offered this?
Absolutely.
It's up to Kevin. I deny this, then I do not want to be the administrator if I cannot go back to the If someone would make the motion or amend the motion,
okay, hang on. I think we're clear where you are, Mr. Dirt. Do you want to vote on your motion, or do you want to withdraw it? You want to vote on it?
Yes.
All right.
How can we vote on it? He denied accepting it.
Well, that's okay. There's a motion and second, and there will be a vote.
So what happens if it passes and he doesn't want it?
Then you still don't have an administrator if he doesn't accept it. Okay. But we've got a motion and second. Yes, sir.
Counselor, can I say something?
Yes, sir.
under the rules and the law, the administrator hires the assistant. Whoever the next administrator is, it would be his job, whether Kevin's already on payroll as an assistant administrator. He was hired for that position. Whoever the next administrator is, all right, would choose whether to keep him or not, but he's already on the payroll as the assistant.
I thought, and I may be wrong, I was not your advisor at the time. Did the jury not hire him directly?
No.
No.
The administrator created the position and hired him?
We created the position, but the administrator did the hiring.
Okay. Then I guess to more accurately answer your question then, if there's a new administrator hired 1 month, 2 months, 3 months from now, you serve at their mercy.
Okay, so I'm not just unappointed and lose my job?
No.
No.
Then I
Not
will,
necessarily, but if the new administrator does not want to keep you as an
correct.
assistant.
I understand that part. Yes, sir. I just want to make sure I'm not going to just get unappointed and lose my job as the jury. If I don't get appointed as administrator,
It's not automatic, no.
okay.
It would depend on the new administrator.
Yeah, the jury only hires 2 people. That's the administrator and the treasurer.
So does that change your position? Just so everybody's clear before we vote?
I will act as administrator.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. All right, any other comments or discussion?
You want me to change?
Mr. Smith?
I believe at the meeting, Bill Smith, I believe at the meeting I attended where Kevin was brought up, the jury hired him as an individual that they were going to train to become the administrator prior to Pastel becoming administrator. If anything happened, then Doug Pastel hired him as an assistant.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith. Any other comments before we vote? All right, we are voting on whether or not to appoint Kevin to serve as an interim administrator until you make a decision as to a more permanent replacement. So a yes vote would make Kevin interim administrator. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Juror 1, Teresa Wyatt.
Yes.
Juror 2, Hazel Hunter.
Yes.
Juror District 3, Richard Durrett.
Yes.
District 4, TJ Cranford.
No.
District 5, Logan Hunt.
No.
District 6, Glenn Scriber.
Yes.
District 7, Matt Pullen.
Yes.
District 8, Skip Russell.
Yes.
District 9, Joe Henderson.
Yes.
District 11, Sharon Mayfield.
No, skip one.
I'm sorry?
District 10, yes.
Yes, sir. Melton, yes.
Yes.
District 11, Sharon Mayfield.
Yes.
District 12, Annette Stroder.
Yes.
It's 10-2. Passed.
All right. Kevin, congratulations. You are the interim administrator, and with that, I'll turn the agenda over to you.
Thank you.
Back to Mr. Durrett, I'm sorry.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the Public Works Committee report. Mr. Hunt?
Mr. Scriber had a question on.
It may be
Public comment.
So, is it too late to ask a question about, all right, he's been appointed now to the, as the
Public comment on the rest of
interim
the agenda.
administrator. So, what about his pay scale?
Make him do the man's job, pay him the man's pay.
That's up to y'all. That was not part
Oh,
of the
Lord.
motion, nor was the procedure that you're going to go through to hire somebody more permanent.
I would ask, does anybody around this table have a plan?
No.
If we're gonna let a man go, do we have a plan?
Mr. President,
Mr. President?
I'd like to make a motion that we meet with Kevin to work out a salary arrangement as soon as possible. That's my motion.
I second
Okay.
that motion.
Motion and second. Any discussion on working out with Kevin negotiating a contract.
When you say we, who do you mean, Mr. Henderson?
Personnel, it wouldn't bother me if all 12 of us are there. But personnel would be the first step. So my motion, work out, the personnel committee would be my motion.
Okay.
And all our committees are open anyway, but personnel committee.
We have a second? Okay. Any other discussion? If not, roll call.
District 1, Teresa Wyatt.
Yes.
District 2, Hazel Hunter.
Yes.
District 3, Richard Durrett.
Yes.
District 4, TJ Cranford.
Yes.
District 5, Logan Hunt.
Yes.
District 6, Glenn Scriber.
Yes.
District 7, Matt Poland.
Yes.
District 8, Skip Russell.
Yes.
District 9, Joe Henderson.
Yes.
District 10, Milton Melton.
Yes.
District 11, Sharon Mayfield.
Yes.
District 12, Annette Straughter.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Unanimous. Okay, before we go to your report, can I get a public comment on the other items on the agenda, including that? That's all right? That's the way we had it. Okay, any public comment on the remaining items on the agenda? If not, Mr. Hunt, we'll go.
Just a question, will there be, the opportunity to have public comment on any additional?
Yeah, at the end, the last thing on the agenda is public comment on any item.
In new business? Would that
Any item that you.
like nothing on the agenda
Yeah,
right now?
anything
but
you
there
want
could
to.
be
Yes,
Just
you
public
can-
comment.
Yes, that public comment is anything
now
that,
or later?
no,
Later, at the
later.
end of it.
We're taking comment now for the rest of the items on the agenda, then we'll take comment on any other items that weren't on the agenda.
Mr.
Okay.
Durrett, did they need to sign a piece of paper? Did you need a piece of paper for them?
Yeah, we'd like for you to sign a piece of paper
There's
if you would.
There's papers in the
Right.
back,
And so-
located by the door if you would like to speak at the end of the meeting.
That's our normal procedure. Okay, if there's no other public comment on the remaining agenda items, if you want to comment on any other items, we have the sheets back there we'd like for you to sign and give to Kevin. Okay, Mr. Hunt, report of Public Works Committee.
Mr. President, the Public Works Committee met at 6:15 this evening. Had a few items of new business. We adopted some, we approved and are hereby recommending a few ordinances amending speed limits, specifically to Knowles Road at 30 miles an hour to Marquia Drive at 25 miles an hour. We approved and hereby recommend to this body the final plat for the Settlement Unit 2 subdivision off of Good Join Road. We approved and hereby recommend to this body the resolution to the DOTD regarding the westbound exit ramp at Highway 33 and I-20 we discussed and approved and hereby recommend to enter into a temporary animal shelter agreement with the city of Ruston. Also to negotiate a contract for the engineering and design services for our overlay project for the capital improvement program for fiscal year 2023. We also approved and recommend that we advertise for bids for tank cars for our cross drains, and we also discussed and approved additional research and moving forward with a potential Jake break ordinance for the parish. We had no other business, and the meeting adjourned at approximately 6:34. I make this report in the form of a motion to you, Mr. President.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Hunt regarding the proposal second that we approve the recommendation from the Public Works Committee. Any discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Next item is discuss and take action on the adoption of the sole source policy. Ms. Webb, you want to explain that?
A sole source vendor is a vendor that they are the only people.
Can you talk into that mic so everybody hear you,
We
please?
can't hear you. I'm sorry.
So a sole source vendor is a vendor that they are the only ones that can provide a material or a supply. So they need to be able to meet the requirements of a checklist provided by the state of Louisiana. They need to sign a form that is provided by the state. And then, of course, I'll do research and then to verify that they are a sole source provider. And then if all else fails, then we will bid the item.
So this is an addition to the policy that we
Yes, sir.
presently have, and each of you have a copy of it, and this yellow part is the part that's changed.
This is needed for most of our grants.
Yeah.
Yes, I wanted to add to that, what brought this about? If everybody can hear me, okay. What brought this about was the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness had reached out to Kip Franklin several months ago and asked if we had this in our purchasing policy. We do not have it in writing, and that was one of the things that we'll be looking for in 2023. So we would abide by this anyway due to the fact that it is in public bid law, but we're just putting it in writing to reflect in our policy so that GoSep would be happy.
So we're just following the state bid law
Right.
for sole source purchasing.
Okay, anybody have any question? Do I hear a motion that we adopt this?
I make that motion.
Motion here in a second. Ms. Mayfield. Okay, now any discussion or questions anybody have? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous. Next item is introduction of an ordinance for the sale of adjudicated properties, partial 201-840-00029. Kevin?
Yes, Mr. President. As you see, I included in the packet, a map of the location is located within the boundaries of Simsboro, and it's in District 3, Mr. Dirt's district. It's 1.53 acres. I did stop by the house. It appears to be abandoned. I don't believe there's even a gas meter that's attached. And the minimum bid is $3,539.41, and this is just an introduction of the sale. We will have the auction the week before the next meeting in February, and then that's when y'all could approve it if you introduce it today.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Kevin, is this in the city limits of Simsboro?
Yes.
What street is it?
It's within the municipal limits of Simsboro, yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, do I have a motion, we introduce, adopt this resolution? Motion, second?
Second.
Second. Any other discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous. The next item is adopt the resolution declaring signature for the health agency.
Is Ronnie here?
Ronnie Dowling here?
Okay. So this is basically just to let Ronnie Dowling sign contracts and amendments on for LAHI. And they just need this resolution so he can sign the contracts. So it makes life a lot easier at the help agency when he's able to sign these types of contracts.
Need a motion?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second, any discussion, questions, or comments? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Unanimous. Okay, the next item is adopt a resolution assuring compliance with the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Estate Acquisition Policy.
Yes, again, this is a annual thing we do for DOTD. It's basically saying we're going to obey all federal laws and regulations obtaining when it talking about real property acquisition.
I hear a motion introduced.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Henderson, second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Mr. Sutton, budget reports, and let me just say this, Mr. Sutton may be a little red-eyed. He's a proud father of a new daughter.
Thank you.
And hadn't had much sleep, so
Yep.
bear with him when he
So if
gets
I
to this
stutter,
report.
there's why, right. You have in front of you the budget to actual report for all major funds for the month of December. Keep in mind that these numbers are preliminary. We still do have invoices that are coming in from last month. But after we presented the budget amendments last month, all funds appear to be overall within the 5% under over-under as expected. The only other thing I want to bring to your attention is sales tax collected for prior month was $668,796.57. That's $668,796.57 versus $653,693.27. That's $653,693.27 for the same month in 2021, an increase of 2.31%. As a reminder, those are transactions from November, so that was before the holiday rush, so hopefully we'll still have some more coming in, and the books will eventually catch up as they should once the December payment comes in. That's all, Mr. President.
Any questions? Anybody have
I
any?
just got
Yes, sir.
one, Mr. Dewey.
Yes.
The severance tax, we got the third quarter in.
Yes, sir.
We normally get the fourth quarter, what, March?
Correct, yes. What we normally, it comes in the fourth quarter will come in, I think I got my notes here to see when that, April, yes, sir.
But we got all three quarters from last year.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions regarding financial? Okay, if not, we'll move to department head reports. Do we have any department head?
Carrie, do you have any report?
Very briefly, we're just getting back to normal with our solid waste collection, that excess garbage that we get every year during the Christmas holidays. This year is probably the heaviest we've ever had. You may come around in the morning and dump a can, and by evening it looked like we missed it, but we didn't miss any. Just very busy. Last year we were around a 96-ton total. Last I looked earlier this week, we're already at 120, so we're just have a lot more than we've been having, but everything's getting back to normal. And beside that, any questions?
So as you're saying that the holiday trash was a lot more than it was last year.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. I would like to commend Kerry and his crew. They've done this with trucks being down, trailers being down.
Yeah.
We've had some mechanical issues on a couple different vehicles, and they're still keeping up. So they're doing a very well job.
So are we still short drivers, or you?
We are still short
Yes,
two
sir.
drivers.
Okay, we're not having any success in hiring any.
None.
No, sir.
All right, thank you.
Maurice?
Good evening.
Good evening.
We are currently trimming back overbrush on sewer right-of-ways. Also, when we have these torrential rainfalls, it gives us a snippet of, what our gravity mains are doing. So with a lot of times with broken cleanouts and cracked pipes, we receive a lot of unwanted water. And so from that, we go back out and do smoke testing. So we'll go back, probably in the next coming weeks, we'll be doing smoke testings, various different areas of our sewer system.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Maurice. I do not see any other. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, somebody's
Jeremy.
pointing
I'm sorry.
somewhere.
Jeremy's here.
Jeremy from the library.
I'll make it quick. Our year's closed out and we're still coming back from COVID, but our door count is going up. The holidays are really slow for us, except for people coming in to get their holiday movies. We make that easy for them. And we're looking forward to a bigger and better 2023. We're already planning for events coming for the whole year, Black History Month being our first big push for next month. We're super excited. Tony Lewis in the Research and Reader Services has got in contact with a lady from El Dorado who runs the Quilted History Museum there, and she's going to bring an exhibit for a day in February, and she's going to be on hand to talk about her stuff. And she has a collection of family artifacts from her family, as well as historical quilts that were used on the Underground Railroad. So we're really looking forward to that program.
Jeremy, what is the date on that?
The date is going to be that's going to be Saturday the 18th. And she's going to set up and she'll be here from 9 to 3. She'll do a talk at 3, and then she'll leave after that.
No, sir. No other reports.
Okay, you got any other report?
No, sir.
There's no
No other reports. Just a couple more comment forms.
Okay, I have 4 comments requests here, and the first one from Lucius McGee, pleading for the reconsideration of Doug Postel, and Randy Braddock's reconsider, basically, and Chris Gary to public comment on administration, and Cranford. I can read the first name. I can't read that. Then
Oh, I am. Don't worry, I am mad.
you don't have,
I don't have to get
Daniel
mad. Y'all
Taylor,
already
you
made
don't
me
have
mad.
a subject.
Big deal? Yeah, you're right. It is a big deal. It's a big deal to everybody in this parish, what y'all just did. It is a big deal. It may not be to you, but it is to us.
It's Lucius.
Lucius, I don't think we're gonna reconsider what we've already,
Lucius McGee, 2804 Foxwood, Ruston, Louisiana. I have worked, hopefully, a lot of the emotion is out from what we've dealt with tonight. I'm going to ask you to reconsider appointing Doug Postel as administrator. That is within the realm of your power here. It's not a renewal. It's entering into another contract, another appointment with Mr. Postel. Some of you may know that I work with public bodies all over the state. Tonight is a huge night for Lincoln Parish with Bucky's coming. Did you know that the estimated annual revenue for Bucky's is $40 million? This is, I was at the school board meeting earlier, and they talked about, this is one of those votes that your kids and your grandkids will remember because it fundamentally changed our community. I'm telling you right now that what's happening right now is something you're going to tell your kids and your grandkids about. You have the opportunity to do the right thing. I am, as a citizen, giving you the opportunity to do the right thing. You created a vacuum by not appointing Mr. Postel, and it was apparent that there's no backup plan. You have told a number of employees that were here and that stood up. Man, that was powerful. Okay, that was powerful. That they now, that doesn't matter to them. I'm asking you guys to reconsider what you're doing here. I'm up here at great personal risk, okay? There's a police juror here that sits for my 98-year-old mother, okay? So is that going to affect the kind of service that my mother gets by not being here? I would hope not. But still, I have some of that personal risk. I have other risks as well. But I want you guys to seriously consider what is happening here. This is not necessarily about Mr. Postel personally. This is about the vacuum that has been created by not reappointing him and not having a plan for him. So I'm just asking you again to please reconsider. Consider what you're doing, because it has repercussions. These things matter. I just heard it matters to a whole bunch of people out there. I'm one of those that it matters to. Please reconsider. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. I'm Randy Braddock, 2209 Boontell Drive in Ruston. Thank you, each of you, for your service to our parish. I really appreciate that. And I do recognize the weight of your responsibility. I'm sensitive to that. And I appreciate you have a difficult, if not impossible, job. What I would like to do is, in light of this, I would like to echo Mr. McGee's plea to reconsider that if there is a way to do that. If not, I would like to request a 2-sentence response in public for the folks who voted no right now. So I'll start with you, Mr. Durrett, President of the jury. Can you give us a 2-sentence explanation on your vote no for Mr. Administrator?
This is a public comment period, not a question and answer period.
Okay.
So you have the floor to public comment.
Okay. So, Mr. Jones, the other question is, absent the ballot box, what recourse does the public, do the voters, do the citizens, do the taxpayers have in light of a decision such as this?
Nothing. You could potentially file recall petitions if you could get enough signature, but
Okay.
other than that, it's wait until there's another election for these jurors.
I understand. Okay, and again, I would say, as it has been said before, we may not always agree on the decision, right? But I respect you, and I respect your opportunity, but I want you to know I disagree with you on those decisions, okay? So much in prayer for you, and it sounds like we as the citizens and you, with your responsibilities to serve the constituents, are going to need it. Lord, have mercy on our soul.
Chris?
The arrogance that we just witnessed in this room is pretty unbelievable. You didn't have all your department heads even give their reports because they were so upset. Ms. Teresa, do you know how to run a traco or a backhoe when those people don't show up to work tomorrow? Do y'all know how to do the accounting in the office when some of those people don't come up to work tomorrow? What are y'all going to do if people don't show up to work? I know how to run my business if my people don't show up to work. What are y'all going to do? Be back here in 30 days and vote to something else? I mean, this is unbelievable what y'all just did. I mean, we've witnessed some things in the last 18 months, but geez, I really feel sorry for some of you because this will be the last January some of you sit in your seats. And I promise you, you just gave all the fuel in the fire. If any of y'all are going to rerun that voted no, you gave fuel in the fire for a lot of people to jump into some elections. So I promise you, there's a lot of people watching at home because our phones have been blowing up with text messages on people watching at home. I've already gotten a $500 commitment to somebody if I want to run. So enjoy these next 11 months because some of you will not be sitting here, I can assure you of that. And good luck tomorrow when a lot of your staff call in, don't show up. And what are y'all going to do when your trash trucks don't run? I mean, you just said he's short people. Do y'all have CDLs to drive trash trucks? I've got a CDL. I mean, what are some of y'all going to do? Like, this is an embarrassment for our parish. I thought not getting an ambulance for $100,000 is embarrassed that nobody even wants to ask a question about. But this has been a complete embarrassment for our parish. And on a day that should have been a record-setting day, this is a complete embarrassment. And I feel sorry for the workers who just stood up and backed their administrator, and you just slapped all of them in the face. And not one of you can do their job. Not one. Not one of you can go to their offices in the morning and know even where to. I probably don't have the keys to some of their offices to open if they don't want to open it. complete embarrassing of our parish leadership. And y'all can roll your eyes and do all you want, but I promise you, in 11 months, some of you will not be sitting in your seats. Mark my words of that. We will change some seats in this police jury. We owe that to Mr. Doug Pastel.
I don't have you on here.
I spoke earlier, and I'm using seniority.
No, you're not.
I want to make
No,
very
sir.
clear, though.
We have people who've already signed up.
That's okay. I'll sign up here. I'll sign up. But here's the thing. Here's the thing we got to look at. Thousands of people are going to be affected by y'all's decision tonight. And think about your constituents, though.
I'm asking you to please move and let the person who wants to talk sign up.
They can come up here and sit by me.
No, you're not. You didn't sign up.
Does
At
it
the
really?
end, you have to sign up
now.
Does it matter what order they go in?
You're not.
I'm signing up.
Hey, Bob, get a form. Bob, get a form. Bob, get a form, fill it out, and then come in the back of the line. Fill another one out and come back up at the very end.
Okay, Cranford. Holly Cranford? I couldn't read the first part, I'm sorry.
Forgive me if my voice cracks a little, but my emotions are all over the room. How dare y'all take a job from a man that has done a tremendous job from all the people in the room that came to support him tonight? Take that away from him. Do you know how many people in this room, forgive me, but are under the age of 50? 45? Do y'all know what the future of this parish is? Younger generations? This is why we don't stand up and we don't voice our opinions. It's because y'all don't care. You're going to vote the worst way anyway. No one changes. There's no reason for this. There was a whole room full of people that supported this man and what he has been doing. I hope that you will all reconsider what you have done tonight.
Daniel Taylor.
My name is Daniel Taylor. I live in District 4 in Mr. Cranford's district. I don't have a tremendous amount to say tonight. Unfortunately, most of you, or the majority of you, have proven that you don't listen to what we say. But the time will come where you will listen to that. And I want to assure you that I will work with a lot of people in this room. I know you're in different districts, but I will work within your districts to rid you of your seats. You basically took the voice of everybody away tonight, and I can tell you right now we're going to work to take your seats away from you for doing that. It was disgraceful what we witnessed tonight. Everybody in this room that stood up, it was 100% in favor of Mr. Pastel, and not one of you listened to that voted against it. And we will come after your seats, and I will help people in many districts. I don't care if it's in my district or not. Fortunately, I have a person in my district that represents us that listens to our voices, so I'll support that, but I will work in your districts with others around you to rid you of your seats. And I want to ask, I know this is not a Q&A time, and that's your way to get away from answering for your actions, but I want to ask each of you individually that voted against that, and I'll start with Mr. Russell to explain why you voted against Mr. Pastel's renewal.
I'll reiterate, this is not a question and answer time.
I'm just asking for an explanation. I'm not asking for a question or an answer. I'm giving you an opportunity to explain why you did what you did in front of a public body because you're too weak to answer for it when we ask. But we'll come after your seats, and I'll leave it at that because none of you will answer for what you did.
All right, Mr. Flournoy.
Y'all are looking at something that's bigger than you. When all the constituents in Ruston and Lincoln Parish together, they're affected by your decisions, what you say, what you do, all these things that Doug and his team, and I want to say about a teamwork. Y'all aren't working as a team. Last night, the Georgia Bulldogs worked as a team. They shredded TCU. What are y'all doing as a team? You're not working together. I don't expect everybody to be a yes man. I had companies and I had people. I told them, I don't want you to be a yes man. But the thing of it is, you've got an impact on this parish. And think about that, your decisions. You've taken 3 steps forward and 5 steps backwards by not hiring him, because he's got things clicking and rolling along, and you've seen his list of things that he's done. And y'all have a copy of it. And I think we're making a big mistake to let a young man like that go that's been a hard worker and he's done a lot for the parish. Thank you.
I've got something to say real quick, Mr. President. A former state senator once told me that you get 2 things when you get elected. You get a vote and a voice. You get a vote and a voice. And I think I think our constituents deserve transparency. If nothing else, our constituents aren't going to agree with every one of our decisions, especially not every one of our constituents are going to agree with every one of our decisions. But they deserve transparency from this body as a whole, and they deserve transparency from us individually on why we make the decisions the way we do. I've prioritized that in my duty is to keep my constituents informed on what's actually going on around the table, and also I've defended my votes publicly, and I would ask you to do the same. And I'll ask the same question that those 2 guys did. Mr. Durrett, why did you vote not to extend Mr. Postel's contract?
I'm not commenting.
Okay, Mr. Melton.
Meeting adjourned.
Mr. Melton, why did you vote no to not extend to?
That's leadership.
Ms. White, why did you vote no?
That was my choice.
No. Can you give me a reason why you did not? You don't have to give me a reason. Ms. Hunter.
I don't have to give a reason. That's my reason.
You don't have to give a reason either. Mr. Russell, can you please tell us why you voted no to renew his contract? Mr. Russell?
I'll be happy to sit down and talk about reconsidering.
You would be happy to sit down and talk about reconsidering?
Reconsidering.
Can you tell me why you voted no tonight, though, Mr. Russell?
Happy to sit down and talk about reconsidering.
Okay. Mr. Henderson, would you please tell the crowd here why you did not renew Mr. Postel's contract?
No, sir.
You will not. Thank you.
Meeting's adjourned. And he's a preacher. He didn't make one, he just adjourned it. You don't have to make a motion anymore. I would support you. Okay.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A new way to make sausage, huh? Out of Lincoln Parish politics. There's not much I can say. Pretty, as Jim Morrison once said, weird scenes inside the gold mine. Wow. We still can create a remarkable future. This is crazy, man. This is beyond crazy. Huh? There's Mr. No Answer. He needs to be escorted by a sheriff. Look at that. Yeah. So here goes Sheriff number 2 to escort the president out. All right, now he's going to leave all of his no voters, naysayers, all by themselves. All right, y'all. History was sure made here. How are we going to clean it? We can clean up this remarkable mess. All right, I'm signing off.